This is the plaintiff, Carlos Alverio Jr. He says he rented an apartment from the defendant, and the building was overrun with drug dealers. The defendant moved him into another building, and this one was infested with mice, and the slumlord did nothing about it. He knew he needed to get out of there, so he left, and now the defendant won't reimburse him the $4,392.14 he's owed for rent, car damages, and security. So he's suing. This is the defendant, Stephen Alcorn. He says he used a professional exterminator to eradicate the mouse problem and doesn't understand how the plaintiff could use the mice thing as an excuse for not paying rent. Besides, he damaged the apartment something awful all his own. He doesn't owe the opportunist plaintiff a penny. In fact, he's the one who's owed money here, and he intends to get it today. He's accused of lousy landlording. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $2,253.59 for unpaid rent and additional damages.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff rented an apartment from the defendant, says the building was infested with drug dealers and mice. But the defendant says he exterminated the place for mice, of course. It's the case of I hate those mices to pieces.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Carlos Alverio, you are suing Stephen Alcorn, doing business as APG Property Management, for $4,392.14 that you say he owes you for costs that you had to incur and rent that you shouldn't have had to pay. You have a counterclaim against him for $2,253 and some change for damages that you say he did to the apartment. Let's start with you, Mr. Alverio.
Yes, Your Honor. So I moved into one of his properties back in 2015. So I'd rented from him on two different properties. When I moved in 2015, at the one property, Mr. Alcorn had asked me to help him with a case where there was drug dealers that was moving in, that was on the property itself, Your Honor, and they were stashing narcotics on the property. I helped Mr. Alcorn with that case.
How did you do that? How did you help?
I actually provided evidence to the courts.
Did you video?
Yes, I did video
Okay.
at that time, Your Honor. I did pictures, and I sent them with his attorney at the time over to the courts. I actually went to trial with him and assisted him with getting that case itself.
The trial was against who? The people in the video?
It was actually against the city of Rochester, Your Honor.
Because what had happened?
As he had said, there were drug dealers, kids from the neighborhood that were dealing drugs in front of the property.
Right.
Nothing to do with the tenants, and the city wanted to shut the property down because of that.
So you asked him to help you video, and did that help with the city?
I don't know anything about a video.
What happened with the city?
We had a pretrial meeting where we talked about, maybe we could avoid shutting the building down.
Right.
Carlos came to that. He was instrumental in giving evidence that
So
this
did they
is not
back
the
off?
tenants. So, yeah, this is not the tenants. It's kids in the neighborhood. It has nothing to do with
Okay.
us.
Good for you. All right, so then what happens? You get your life threatened.
Yes, Your Honor. So the drug dealers must have gotten word of it or whatever, and I'm driving down the road. As I'm driving down the road, I got a bunch of drug dealers that are coming at me, and the drug dealers are like, I'm going to kill you, and they were all attacking almost at me itself. So I ended up having to leave to avoid the possibility. I have an 11-year-old daughter, Your Honor, so therefore...
Was she with you?
At that point, yes, she was with me at that time, Your Honor. So for the safety of my child.
So you end up moving into a different apartment that he has in another building.
Yes.
All right, and how long do you live there?
The new apartment was roughly 1 year, Your Honor.
All right, and then what happens?
So so while I was living there, I had contacted Mr. Alcorn in regards to mice that were in the home itself. I actually did areas of the home itself where I actually had to caulk the holes. I had to put spray foam into one of this huge gap, Your Honor, where the mice were actually coming in under the actual sink itself.
What's this a video of this first one?
So the day I moved out, actually that video right there is the actual move out date itself, a video of the actual whole apartment.
Was there a security deposit?
The security deposit was, from my understanding, was moved over from the old apartment to this apartment. I'm unaware as to whether it was actually done or not.
Okay, but there was a security.
Yes, there was.
You didn't get it back, did you?
Correct.
Right. Okay, what is all that on the wall there?
That on the wall there, Your Honor, that's actually the mice droppings themselves.
Just in one part of the house?
Yes, Your Honor. That's where the
top
stove
of the
was.
baseboards?
Yes, they were, because what they would do is they would climb up on the pipe itself. They climb on the top of the pipe itself, and then they would try and exit through there. So referencing the, what I'm referencing here, Your Honor, is when it comes to the citations that the city of Rochester provided to Mr. Alcorn, which I have currently with me.
Going up the back hallway itself, window doesn't open.
Did you call the city of Rochester on them?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Why did you do that?
I called it because for the issue with the roaches themselves, Your Honor, Mr. Alcorn never really addressed the issue itself.
After you called the city of Rochester to complain because you felt he wasn't addressing the extermination problem, he gave you your 30 days notice to get out, right?
Yes, he did. He did send me.
And you were on a month-to-month, right?
Yes, I was. Have that,
So
Your
when
Honor?
was your last day?
My last day was June 30th.
So now you are suing, and I'm trying to understand your lawsuit, for 3 months of rent that you paid?
Yes.
So you paid April, May, and June?
June I did not pay, Your Honor. And the
So
reason,
why are you suing for it back? Sport? Okay. And why are you suing for, I guess it's 2 months of rent that you paid back?
because of the fact I had to live under these conditions, Your
Okay.
Honor.
All right. So that is the argument on that. We'll put a pin on that in a second. You are suing for him to reimburse you for security for your new apartment. Why would he have to pay security for your next
Because
apartment?
I had to move, Your Honor.
You had to move because you had a 30-day, month-to-month tenancy. That's your right. Your only right is 30 days. I mean, come on. All right, accumulated late fees, $50 each. Tell me about that.
Yes, I was not there was no contract, no agreement itself, Your Honor.
Did you ever have a lease with him or no?
I know there was never a
Not
lease
in the
at all.
first one, not in the second?
Never.
Okay. And?
So I kept accruing late fees because I'd get paid on the 10th of every month. So unfortunately, I couldn't pay it. He was aware of that. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to pay it.
Well, when is the rent due?
It's due on the 1st of the month, Your Honor.
Well, then you got to save. Like, how is that something they did wrong? So you were late and you paid the late fee?
Yes, I paid the late fee because of the fact that I couldn't afford to move, Your Honor.
Right.
So therefore,
So you paid how many late fees?
numerous, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I've got the record.
18 of them?
Yes.
Right. Why are you suing to get it back?
Because I was never aware of a late fee at all.
Well, it seems to me you're aware because you paid 18 of them.
Right, and the reason why I paid him, Your Honor, is because I had no place to, I couldn't move right away.
It seems to me that you wouldn't have paid him the extra $50 unless you knew that you were paying a late fee. I don't understand how you're saying I wasn't aware of it. You were aware of it because you paid it 18 times, so you were aware of it. Let me hear from you about the main issue, which is I want a rent rebate because the conditions were terrible. Talk to me about that.
That picture where you asked what was that on the baseboard, that's where the stove was. So whatever was there was probably the accumulation of a few years of dust or whatever
Where'd
that
the
was
stove
behind
go?
the stove.
You mean because it was his own stove, or what do you mean?
I honestly don't remember if there was a stove.
Did you have your own stove there?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Oh, so you're
so
saying
that's-
that's what was behind where his stove was?
That's correct.
Okay.
As far as the rent goes, he paid as he said. He did not pay June, he did not pay complete May. He was short $100 in May.
Okay.
And he is incorrect in two statements that he made. One, that he never had a lease. We have a lease for his original apartment.
Did it happen to say $50 late fee?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay. Can I see it?
Yes. And the second thing is that he had a security deposit. He never did have a security deposit. When he originally moved into his first apartment, he was funded by DSS, Social Services, and they gave us a landlord-tenant security agreement, which when he vacated the apartment also vacated the agreement.
Oh, it's just them saying if he damages it, we will cover the damage?
Up to 2 months, I forget what the term is.
Okay. And then let me ask you, do you have any proof that you paid $450 or that somebody paid $450 on your behalf as opposed to what he's saying?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's off the table. And then I'm still kind of hung on how you're suing for a month you didn't pay. What is this? These are the citations?
Yes, Your Honor.
Window panes broken. Window needs repair. Public hall window inoperable. Make all windows operable. Public hallway needs repair. Public hallway light inadequate. Alarm required smoke detector. Yes, you are a landlord and you have to have the smoke detectors working. floor needs repair. And I saw that in all the video that the floors needed to be, those floors are from like 100 years ago. All right, you need to put money into this thing.
I disagree, Your Honor.
You disagree you need to put money into it?
I disagree that the floors, there's anything wrong with the floors.
The linoleum?
Oh, the linoleum.
Yeah, the linoleum. That's what I'm
talking about. The hardwood floors.
No. The hardwood floors are great. They're old and that's how they look. I meant the linoleum. There's chunks of linoleum missing. Somebody's going to trip and then sue you. You know, he didn't think of it, but you know somebody's going to do it. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful. All right. Now you have a lawsuit against him for $1,500 in apartment damage. See evidence. It says here. What is the $1,500 that he did in damage to the apartment?
Hi.
Hi. Who are you?
My name is Danielle Braun. I do maintenance and management for Stephen. So my crew went in and we had to basically paint the whole apartment. There were staples in all of the window frames and door frames. So we had to remove all of those staples. The carpets were, he had dogs and he wasn't supposed to have any animals. So we had to remove those carpets. The floor underneath were stained from the urine, so we had to restain and polyurethane those. So now they're hardwood floors. There were smoke detectors missing, and that was in that inspection.
If I may.
The inspection was May 30th, noting the smoke detectors missing.
Right, but when he moved in, there were all smoke detectors there.
Is that true?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Do you have pictures?
And
Hold on. Do you have pictures of the place when he moved in? Okay. Your job every time that a tenant vacates and you are giving it to another tenant is to have a recording, a very slow video of everything in the apartment so that the tenant can't claim they got it that way.
Okay.
Right? Come on. Do you have a cell phone?
Oh, absolutely.
Does it take pictures and
Yes,
video?
it does.
All right.
Yep.
You knew this was going to happen, that I was going to yell at you today, right? I need receipts for the $1,500 you're suing for. Do you have receipts?
I have the invoice that we were given.
By?
Me.
Okay, can I see it? So here's the thing. Did you expect to get sued by him, or was that like just out of left field?
To this day, I don't have any clue why we're here.
So who's shadier when it comes to renting apartments, landlords or tenants?
Definitely the landlord.
Why definitely?
Because he creates he has a building, he's supposed to maintain everything up to spec.
Okay, what do you say?
I don't think you can generalize every situation.
If you had to,
Probably, I don't know, tenants.
this isn't like, God, you're running for president.
Not yet.
Going inside the courtroom.
Carlos and I had I thought was a very good landlord-tenant relationship. He was a ally and a compatriot in all the stuff going on at his first apartment. When he came to me and told me he was afraid for his life, or he and his daughter, we didn't hesitate. We moved him across town to another apartment within a couple of days.
And when he moved in June, you had never sent a letter to him saying, you owe us X for all this problems.
No,
you weren't going to sue him.
No, we just figured.
You were going to eat the rest of May, and you were going to eat the late fee, and you were going to eat June because he had been a good tenant.
That's
now
exactly right.
That your good tenant sued you for rent he never paid, accumulated late fees that he agreed to pay and did, and all these other things. Now you want that $750.
Oh.
Now you know where we are? We're where you owe the rest of May, and you owe June, and you owe some late fees. That's where we are. All right, here's how I'm gonna rule. Based on what clearly the city has some problems with how the place looks. Most of it was windows that don't open, safety issues. I don't believe him when he says that the spot behind his stove were mice droppings. Reference your apartment damage. You don't have proof of how you handed it over. And a lot of it looks unattended to. So you're not going to get anything for the apartment damage. You are going to get the $750 that is owed, that you would have let slide if you hadn't sued him. People have to think through their actions. So on your lawsuit against him, 0, and on his lawsuit against you, $750, verdict for the defendant.
Hold on, please.
Well, this certainly did not turn out for the plaintiff the way I'm sure you were hoping it was going to. You came in and suing for over $4,000. You ended up you got to pay over $700. You're not getting anything. It costs you money to come to court. What do you think?
Well, I don't think that the judge heard everything. I was going to explain more.
I don't know. She heard a lot.
Yeah, I had more photos I was going to show her that, proved that, the upkeeping itself was not even there.
Well, she looked at your videos, she heard you talk, and she found out you didn't pay rent that you were suing for. It was a bad suit. Okay?
Thank you.
Sorry. I don't know. Mr. Alcorn, I know you were surprised to get sued coming in here, but you weren't prepared for what you were suing for. So everybody's learned something here today, haven't you?
Yes.
But you are going to get that rent.
That's
some
wonderful.
other things. So good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, we've talked about this before. If you are a tenant, but really a landlord too, you take pictures when you move in, you take pictures when you move out, and you show that there's no difference between the two, which means if you do that, you get your security deposit back. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.